Hey there, A's Day fans. Welcome to the final edition of Team Profile and Prediction. We are talking, of course, about the A's as a whole to culminate this series. We appreciate you following along with us, one episode per day, covering each of the players on the projected opening day roster or to make some sort of impact for the Athletics during the 2025 season. And now we are culminating with our overall viewpoints of the team as a whole heading into the new season. If you've made it to this episode, that means you are listening on opening day, and we appreciate your time today. For those who celebrate, happy opening day. It's one of the more exciting days of the MLB season where hopes are renewed, everyone's feeling fresh, and you're going to get everyone's best shot. And we apologize for our next couple of episodes. We are going to be audio only. We'll be back up and running with our video edition on Monday. But nevertheless, you'll still be able to hear all of our info. And the audio version is going to be available on YouTube too as well. So if that is where you've been checking us out, no worries. You'll still be able to follow along on your favorite device and platform. So with that, let's jump right in. Let's talk about what the A's did as a team in 2024 before moving ahead. So, during the previous season, they did finish with a win-loss record of 69-93, which was good for fourth in the American League West. It was their 57th and final emotional season as the A's said goodbye to Oakland and the Coliseum. It was definitely a devastating scene for the good people of Oakland as the A's are moving on to a new home for the 2025 season, as their new home will be Sutter Health Park, temporarily in Sacramento, before moving to their permanent home in Las Vegas. And during the 2024 season, let's start on the offensive side of the ball. As a team, they hit .233, which was 10 points below league average and good for 25th in the league. They did slug 196 home runs, good for 8th in the league, so not bad, flashing that top 10 power. However, they were only scoring 3.97 runs per game, which was 26th in all of baseball. 0.42 runs below average means to me that they were slugging with power, but not necessarily a lot of traffic on the base paths. They were able to be in the top half of the league in drawing walks. They drew 493, which was 12th in MLB, and they struck out 1,502 times, which was 5th. They struck out at an alarming clip. But these are all typical numbers of a team that is on the rise and has a young core. They did boast the 5th youngest lineup, averaging 26 and a half years old. On the flip side, in terms of the pitching, there were definitely a lot of issues here, which led to their unfortunate overall demise in the 2024 season, coming well short of the postseason. They pitched to a 4.37 ERA, which was 25th, allowing 4.72 runs per game, which was the 7th most. They struck out 1,263 batters, which was 28th or the 3rd least, as well as their 91 ERA plus was at a similar ranking, 28th in all of MLB. And they walked 530 batters, which was the 9th most in baseball. And they had the 11th youngest pitching staff, averaging 28.4 years old. Defensively, they were league average, and that might have been the most consistent thing about this team in 2024. I know for the A's, the offense really came on in the second half of the year, and they finished with one of the better records in the American League. They actually went 500 over their final 70 games, showing a lot of promise and expectations for 2025. But in terms of defense, they did make 84 errors, which was 11th in MLB. They had a .985 fielding percentage, which was 13th. So they were basically league average in that position, but I do think that is an area that will continue to improve with their young athleticism all over the field. Their top performance in 2024, we'll start with the top 3 offensively. So first it was Brent Rooker. He had a line of a .293 batting average with 39 home runs, 112 runs batted in. He drove 26 doubles, hitting a .927 OPS and a .165 OPS plus. Second was Lawrence Butler, who mainly manned right field, hit a .262 batting average with 22 home runs, 57 runs batted in, 24 doubles, an .807 OPS and a .131 OPS plus. And their catcher rounds out the top three of their top offensive performers. Shea Langoliers batted .224 with 29 home runs, 80 runs batted in, 18 doubles, a .739 OPS, and a .111 OPS plus. I do think you are going to see all of these guys' power numbers uptick just even a little bit, being in their new home, which is more hitter-friendly as compared to the Coliseum. Excited to see what their numbers look like at the end of the 2025 year. On the mound, their top three performers, well, everything is talked about. Their closer, their all-star closer, Mason Miller, who was absolutely dominant, pitched to a 2.49 ERA in 55 games, saving 28 games. In 65 innings, he struck out 104 batters. That is just absolute elite strikeout stuff. Go look at his Baseball Savant page. It was all red, which means he was really great last year. Looking forward to see him take that next step and just continue to solidify himself as one of the best closers in all of MLB. Second top performer in 2025 on the mound was J.P. Sears. He had an 11-13 win-loss record. Not bad for a team that was 69-93. He pitched to a 4.38 ERA. In 32 game start, he pitched 180 in 2/3 innings, allowing 172 hits, 49 walks, and striking out 137 batters. Definitely continued to show that bulldog performer and just being available to take the ball. Availability is reliability, and it is good to see that Sears, with this added pitching depth in 2025, I believe his value is going to increase even more. And third, I thought Osvaldo Bido. He was good in multiple roles, and he ended up being one of their most steady pitchers right behind Sears. He had a 5-3 win-loss record with a 3.41 ERA. He appeared in 16 games, started 9 of them, so showing that swingman ability to be able to be an effective starter, but also be an effective pitcher out of the bullpen when you need to maybe save the bullpen from being taxing. Being able to eat up some innings, that is very valuable, and for him to excel in both areas is a big reason why I believe his sky is the limit. I do think his value is so high as compared to a lot of the other arms on this team. But he threw 63 in the third inning, struck out 63 batters, and allowed only 26 walks. So that's a good balance there, and I do think that command will continue to improve. I'm excited to see his electric stuff work its way into the number 3 or 4 spot in the rotation. All right, so that's enough for 2024. That puts a bow on that. I do think the A's finished very strongly, and I am a big believer that momentum from the previous season can really carry into the next. And with that, we are going to talk about some key additions that the A's made, and I do think they really set the tone in terms of increased expectations by making some big splashes in free agency, including Luis Severino to be their ace. They signed him to a 3-year, $67 million contract in free agency. They also bolstered the rotation by trading with the Rays. They received Jeffrey Springs, who will slot in to be the number 2 starter in the rotation. They signed Jose Leclerc, also in free agency, to a 1-year, $10 million deal in order to be the setup man and hand the ball to their all-star closer, Mason Miller. They traded from Miami for cash considerations Johnny Pereda, who will end up being the backup catcher for the A's in 2025. To solidify third base, they went into free agency and signed veteran third baseman Gio Urshela to a 1-year, $2.15 million contract. In the Rule 5 draft, they selected, who was previously property of the Kansas City Royals, right-handed pitcher Noah Murdock, who is all arms and legs, 6'7", with a devastating 95.5-mile-an-hour sinker that is going to be tough to pick up for right-handed hitters. He was fortunate and earned a spot out of spring training to land a role in the 2025 A's bullpen. Excited to see what he looks like. Speaking of earning it, Justin Turner was claimed off waivers from the Tampa Bay Rays. Turner went out there and delivered 10 scoreless appearances in spring training to earn a spot in the bullpen. And they went out and signed Luis Urias in free agency during the very twilight of spring training days. I believe it was February 17th. They signed Urias to a 1-year, $1.1 million contract. So with all these additions, you would think that they bolstered their pitching depth. They solidified their hole at third base and added some high potential arms in the bullpen. So what did they lose? They lost right-handed pitcher Scott Alexander, who's now with the Rockies. They lost a rotation guy, Ross Stripling, who is now with the Kansas City Royals, Joe Boyle, who was involved in the Rays trade for Springs, and Nick Allen is now a member of the Atlanta Braves. Okay, with that, now you know who's on the team now, who is out of town. Now we're going to make five bold predictions here, just for something to keep in your cap. We love to just take shots here based on our what we're feeling heading into the 2025, based on seeing what the roster looks like and just going off of pure personal perception. We think that the A's are going to have 4 American League All-Star selections as we jump right into our bold predictions. The 4 that come to mind are Lawrence Butler, Brent Rooker, Mason Miller, and Shea Langoliers. I do think all 4 of those athletics have an opportunity to earn a spot on the American League roster, and if they're all playing at an all-star level, I'm sure this team will be in the thick of some important baseball down the stretch. Second bold prediction, think Jacob Wilson, shortstop, who is the number 1 prospect in the A system and number 31 in all of MLB out of the top 100. He is going to win the American League Rookie of the Year. I really do believe his added strength, he's going to hit for a little bit more power, as it was already on display, showing direct translation from the weight room and nutrition onto the field. He led the A's in home runs during spring training, hitting 4 of them. And I'm saying he's not going to hit anywhere like 30 home run season or anything like that, but something with double digits, as well as stealing some bags and playing elite defense. I do think he's going to have an electric start to his career. I want to go out on a limb and root for Wilson to win that award. The third prediction that we are thinking about is all about Lawrence Butler, who did reap the rewards of his outstanding second half, and in terms of a team being or feeding off of positive momentum, I do think that can happen on a personal note with Butler too as well, who was one of the better hitters in the American League from July on. Well, he did sign a 7-year, $65.5 million contract extension, and he's been someone that's been locked in on to this season since day one of spring training. I do think that's going to carry all the way through this season. I think you're going to see it right away up in Seattle, and I do think he's going to be one of your more consistent producers. So our prediction, our third bold prediction, Lawrence Butler is going to join the 30-30 club. He's going to hit 30 home runs and steal 30 or more bags. I do think that is within his realm. Last year he stole, I think it was right around 20 bags, he stole 18 bases and hit 22 home runs in more limited action. Getting the full run from start to finish, I do think that is a great possibility. Fourth bold prediction, Mason Miller is going to hit 105 for the first time. I believe he has topped out at 103.6 or 7, so I do think he's got a little bit more juice and gas to the tank, so that's another prediction we're going to make. Looking forward to see that day whenever it happens. And our fifth and final bold prediction for team profile and prediction, we believe the A's are going to make the AL postseason, and not just that, we do believe they're going to make it to the division series. So my belief is that the A's are going to land one of those 3 wild card spots in the American League, and they're going to win that wild card round before their season culminates with a division round loss. We'll call it in 4 games, but I do think it is going to be a good learning experience for this A's team, and I do think they're going to play a fun brand of baseball and playing with a lot of confidence. So my overall thoughts, this is a new era. They're playing in a new home in Sacramento, so we're going to see what the fan base up there is going to be like. And it is going to be a year of change for the good people of Oakland. And to have another team ripped out of there is just heartbreaking. And you hate when big business certainly overrides the heart of the emotion of a fan base. Nevertheless, the A's will play on, and they are going to try to hold on to that continued and historic tradition and wear the Athletics brand proudly, and ushering in a new era where I do believe this team is on the rise, and I do think they are going to surprise some people. They do have an opportunity to make an offensive jump being in their new home. It is going to be more hitter friendly in terms of stadium alignment, but as well as the weather too as well. Even though there are going to be a higher amount of night games, those nights in Sacramento, especially in the summer, are going to be significantly warmer than nights in Oakland. And I do believe the ball does travel better in warmer air. Obviously, we need to get a scientist on the show so we can prove it one way or the other. But just going off of the past experiences of what I've seen with baseball, and obviously it seems like home run numbers increase as the summer months approach and roll along. The A's, they do have much better depth all around. Like I was mentioning about the key additions, they added their 1 and 2 starter, having Sears being a 3 and 4 spot in the rotation. That just deepens their rotation, and then I think they brought in 3 or 4 really good relievers to help bridge it to Miller and maybe take a little bit more of the stress off of him. This team is hungry for success, and I do think they're out to prove some people wrong. I do think they got a good taste of it, of how well they played after July 1st, and I think they want to keep that going. There's a lot of good vibes within the organization. They extended Brett Rooker. They extended Lawrence Butler, extended their manager, Mark Kotze. There is a clear vision. There's an expectation, but a belief in what is there now can get the job done. So excited to see them take that next step and see how many more games they can win to their overall win total. I do believe they are going to compete for that playoff spot. I expect them to be in the postseason as a wild card. But just with the uncertainty of the AL West as a division, every team has question marks. So you wonder if this team's going to be able to compete for that division as well. I do think they'll hang around. I do believe that there will be teams that have a little bit more experience, like the Rangers. Even maybe Seattle's pitching may be a little bit tough. They maybe just out-edge them, but I do think they'll be right in the thick of things, and this will be a good first go-around with this young group. And I do think the top performers are going to be Butler, Severino, and Mason Miller. So, according to Fangraphs, the over-under is set at 75.5 wins, which would mean they added 6 wins from their 2024 total. We are feeling good on this podcast. We really believe that the A's, this is a good time for us to begin covering them with this young, exciting core. Excited to see them learn and develop. So with that, we are going to take the over here, and with our prediction, we predict that the A's will finish 86 wins, 76 losses, and earn one of those wild card spots. And like I mentioned, they're going to win one round. They're going to win the wild card round. And with that culminates officially the series A's player and team profile and prediction, as we talked about our thoughts on where the A's have been and our outlook on where they're heading for the 2025 season. We appreciate each and every one of you for following along this journey. It's been exciting to be able to learn and grow and cover this team that I do think is poised for success. There's a lot more depth. There's a lot to like. I'm very excited to see number 7 prospect Max Muncy potentially get his debut up in Seattle on opening day at second base. We'll see what that lineup looks like once it is released. But again, be sure to follow along. Now we're ramped up for game 1 out of 162. Follow along on our social media platforms on Instagram at A's Day Baseball Podcast, on X, formerly known as Twitter, at A's Day Baseball, and our YouTube channel at A's Day Podcast for all of our video content. Be sure to check us out there, and to be an official subscriber and to help us grow this platform, be sure to log on to our Patreon site, patreon.com/A's Day. For just $2 a month, you'll be entered to win monthly A's Day t-shirt giveaways, A's autograph memorabilia, future A's game tickets, and so much more as we are able to grow this thing together. Again, we are very excited. Baseball is back. If you are listening to this, Holy Toledo, we get to play a baseball game tonight. Thank you for tuning in. And be sure to check us out on our next episode, as we will now be talking about A's Mariners series preview. Be ready for that. We'll see you next time. Take care, everyone.